folks. Welcome to CinemaCurrent. I'm Eric Blake, founder of the site and founder of Hard Boiled Entertainment. And I'm here with my kid brother, Trent Blake. He's the co-founder of Dual Hammer Studios.
Yes. Well, I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, great to have you here.
Good to have you here.
Good to have you. The Force is with us, and the Force is, once again, with Star Wars.
Yes.
Star Wars The Force Awakens has just opened this Christmas season. And let's start off with our general impressions, all right?
Well, I thought it was a very, very good meme. I was very surprised. I mean, for the people, what the people were telling me, it was kind of like what people were saying for Star Wars 3, kind of like, oh, it's great, oh, it's bad, oh, it's great, oh, it's bad. I'm like, I really wasn't expecting much more. I mean, it was like, okay, they don't have the restraints of having a prequel. They have to end it with the good guys in defeat and everything like that.
Because these prequels have to be predictable.
Right, exactly. But with this one, okay, it should probably be a little, you know. But then when I saw it, I was like blown away. I was like,
really good.
Wow, I was like surprised.
Well, here's the thing. I was almost to the opposite. I expected it to be good because it was J.J. Abrams, and J.J. Abrams now has a reputation for taking previously established and previously considered dead franchises and bringing them back.
Yeah, like Star Trek.
Yeah, like Star Trek, Mission Impossible. It took Mission Impossible 3, which really kickstarted the good, better and better and better and even better Mission Impossible movies, continuously being good. And of course, Star Trek. And that's number one. Number two, he brought on Lawrence Kasdan, who's not only producing but also wrote the screenplays. He was the one who wrote the screenplays for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
So I was expecting it to be at the very least an improvement from the prequels.
Right.
A good step up. But it was. But I was hoping it would be awesome, and lo and behold, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Very
it
good.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, some general impressions, like the storyline. The thing about the storyline is that it is almost point for point, like reimaginings of the basic plot of the original Star Wars movie.
How so?
Well, it's you have the robot, you have the rebels, or in this case, the Resistance, being under attack from the First Order, which, by the way, is the restructured Empire after the fall of the Emperor, and the galaxy's plunged into chaos. And the storyline begins from the opening crawl.
Right.
There are two sides. There are two powers in the galaxy. There's the New Republic, and there's the First Order. The First Order is basically the reorganized Empire.
Right.
And there's a resistance that has been formed against the First Order, which is being not so secretly, which is being like sort of unofficially supported by the First Order.
Right.
But no, not by the First Order, by the New Republic.
Right, right.
New Republic. And of course, the resistance, of course, is causing problems. And it's led by Princess Leia, now General Leia, and is brought back once again by Carrie Fisher. And this specific rebel pilot, in this case Poe Dameron, he gets the secret document, and he puts it in the robot, in this case BB-8, and then the robot has to leave, escape, and he encounters a loner who like a person has this low quality kind of life and dreaming of something more, and then ends up, and then there's that ultimate weapon by the bad guys, and they have to like rise up and destroy.
Yeah.
So but there is still it has some basic plot points, but it takes them in completely different directions.
Right.
And there's a fresh take on them, and I thought that was really nice. About the plot, what are your thoughts on the storyline?
Well, I think that at first when I saw this, especially the big weapon and everything like that, close to the middle of the movie for the first time, I was thinking, oh, it's just gonna be another Death Star and everything like that. And then I saw this red beam and everything like that.
And it wasn't just multiple beams.
It went across. Yeah, it was this huge beam. It went across layers and then split into these different beams, whatever, and destroyed multiple planets, star systems, and everything. I was like,
make
whoa.
it even more.
And most of the time when I see things that are just like, oh, it's an improvement from the last thing, I'm not really impressed. But this time I was like,
and
wow.
we actually saw the victims as they were ready to die.
Yeah.
It adds an emotional impact to it.
It wasn't the same thing as kind of like it cuts to Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Millennium Falcon's like, oh, yeah. I felt disturbance and force.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. By the way, so the characters, there's some new characters.
Yeah.
For the central character is Rey. She's played by Daisy Ridley. And as it turns, and she's the one that finds the robot BB-8, and it turns out she's basically the Luke character. She is dreaming of something more, And as it turns out, she was an orphan. She feels abandoned. She feels stranded on the planet. But at the same time, she's waiting for whoever it was that left her there to come back.
Right.
And that's why, she throughout the movie, she keeps talking about going back.
Right.
As opposed to Luke, who says, I want to get off this rock.
Right, right.
But, of course, circumstances have her, having to leave.
Right.
When she meets BB-8 and Finn. And as it turns out, she has to accept the fact that, no, my place is away from that planet.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that's it was kind of interesting how they kind of, in some ways, it was different than the fourth movie, The New Hope, or I guess the original Star Wars and everything.
Yeah, Luke.
But in some ways it's the same. It's kind of like two magnets in a sense. They're both magnets, so they're super similar, but at the same time they're also opposites, so they can attract things. So together they make the perfect
It's a new,
match.
fresh perspective.
Right.
And it's nice, in a way, when she touches Luke's lightsaber, when she finds Luke's lightsaber, when she touches it, and she has all those visions and those little snippets, little clues of things that we don't know the context of yet, but we get the idea that in future movies we're going to build on that.
Yeah, and I was wondering, there are a few of the things I thought I remembered from, it was the original trilogy. I heard things like Obi-Wan talking and all these people and everything like that.
But it was, we hear Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan from the trilogy, and we hear Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, the younger Obi-Wan, recording new lines.
Really?
Yeah.
That's something that was at first I was like, is this Obi-Wan or not? It seems a little bit different and everything. Probably having the two together and things what threw me off and everything, but I do remember when I heard that, I thought she was hearing Luke's memories or something like that when she touched the lightsaber. That was my first initial impression. What about you when you first saw it?
Yeah, at first I wasn't sure what it was, but it's but for some reason she has this connection to that lightsaber, and touching it, or at least the heritage of the lightsaber,
right?
Which leads to it was Anakin's lightsaber, then it became Luke's for a while until Luke made his own.
Something that I just occurred to me a little bit ago, but that was the blue lightsaber, not the one from Return of the Jedi where he made a new
Luke has that. As far as we know, Luke still has that one.
Right.
But remember, at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Luke lost it because Vader chopped his hand off, and it tumbled down.
I wonder. That was a really good.
Yes. All right. So that's her, and as it turns out, she finds out, to her shock and everyone else's, that she is super charged with the power of the Force.
Yeah.
And at first, she's concerned, I don't want this. I don't know if I'll be able to control it. But as it turns out, she learns how to do it, and she learns how to resist mind probes, like Princess Leia. She learns how to hypnotize a stormtrooper, played in a great cameo by Daniel Craig, James Bond.
Oh yeah.
The stormtrooper she hypnotizes is James Bond. How awesome is that?
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kind of ironic in a sense.
And of course, you hear some James Bond wits, you will take these binds off. Really? I think I'm going to make them tighter. How do you like that?
Yeah. Now that you think about it, it does sound like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's hypnotized, and then she learns how to sort of learns how to use a lightsaber. But there is the lightsaber duels are much more chaotic than the organized, stylized fights of the prequels.
That was the one thing. It seemed more of a grunting type lightsaber duel than the other ones were more flipping around, just swinging around and everything like that.
In this case, it's justified because Rey doesn't know the first thing about lightsaber fighting.
Right.
It's rather as far as she's concerned, Master Zoro pointing in goes into the other man.
Yeah.
I have to do it. All I know is I'm desperate. I have to fend it off.
Right.
But as for Kylo Ren, he's seriously injured. He's critically wounded.
Right. That's right. Someone shot him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Chewie.
So that's Rey, and she goes on this, and that's her. The central quest is really hers, although. But then, this primary quest is hers, trying to find her place and her purpose, and having to cope with the fact that she has all of this power, this supercharged with this power. Right. She's like a super Force user, as far as we can tell. The second major hero is Finn. He is a stormtrooper who suffers a pang of conscience when he sees the stormtroopers led by Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren, massacre a village,
right.
and that leads him to have a change of heart and desert.
Right.
And he encounters Rey and BB-8 after he helps out Poe Dameron, but we'll get to Poe later. But he eventually stumbles on her and BB-8, and they help each other escape. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I found it very fascinating. And this is the first indication we really have the first confirmation we have, though we sort of suspected, but the first confirmation we have that stormtroopers, Imperial stormtroopers, are not clones.
Yeah, that's the thing that really got
In fact, there's an exchange between General Hux and Kylo Ren after the desertion happens, and Kylo tells Hux, we should go back to clones, because clones wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, I wonder.
And Hux is like, no, I vouch for these guys. These are good.
It made me think and everything.
Yeah.
How in the second and the third movies they had the clones from Kamino and everything, and I was like, they're kind of like setting them up to become the stormtroopers that we knew in the prequels.
Yeah.
But now they're saying that the stormtroopers were different, and I'm wondering if was it this whole time the stormtroopers were not clones, and somehow the clones changed since then, whatever, or was it since Star Wars 6 in those 30 years or so and everything?
That they
just switched it out somehow or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All I know is there's the gag in the classic trilogy of the stormtroopers not being able to shoot.
Yeah, I'm wondering that because the stormtroopers,
or at least because clone troopers have great aim,
right? They did,
as opposed to the stormtroopers who had okay aim.
Well, I'm not sure if that's right, because you see, the stormtroopers, they were fighting the clones were fighting droids, and what they said was not they had great aim, but that by comparison to droids, they had great aim.
And then the droids didn't move that quickly.
Right,
Heroes did. So that might be it. But that's almost by the point. But it's the first confirmation we get that the stormtroopers were not clones. But it's something different. In this case, Finn has free will.
Right.
And he rebels, and it sets up this conference, and it sets up his nemesis, as time goes on, his nemesis is being set up, and it's implied it's going to be for the whole trilogy, is his superior, Captain Phasma, the Silver Stormtrooper.
Right.
His superior, and oddly enough, and this was something that another reviewer brought up, and I found very interesting, I learned back, oh, you're right, is that Phasma keeps subtly trying to cover for Finn. When Finn refuses to take part in the massacre, he points but he can't bring himself to shoot, Phasma looks at him and says, check your blaster, maybe something's wrong with it. She's sort of covering up his look. I'm giving you a chance. Don't disappoint me.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget this happened. I'm going to shrug it off as there's something wrong with your blaster. So in a way, she's sort of defending him. And when there's the report that Finn deserts, like Phasma says, well, I don't know. There has to be something wrong with him. And then at the end, when they confront her, it says, look, and Finn gives her a talking down to, that you just know there's a lot of setup that she's going to be his nemesis, there's build up, the conflict between them is going to be more of his arc.
I'm wondering, that makes a lot more sense and everything. But the one thing I didn't like about the, that Silver Stormtrooper and everything, what's her name again?
She was so underused, honestly.
I think that the Silver Stormtrooper...
Yeah, Phasma.
Phasma seemed kind of wimpy. I'm sorry, she seemed weird.
Yes, because they confront her, says, you're going to help us do this. No, I'm not. She says, okay, but you're not going to get away with this.
I mean, come on. If you're a stormtrooper, if you're an Imperial stormtrooper,
if you're loyal,
gonna go down fighting.
But I will say this. I'm going to hold out hope for that, because I feel like there is a possibility that they're setting up that she herself is an individual-minded person anyway. She's, in a way, sort of, maybe, she's more loyal to herself than to the First Order.
Right.
She isn't super bred for loyalty, so there might be a little bit of hints of characterization that will be further explained in later movies.
Right.
So I'm going to hold that hope. But as of now, my main disappointment was that she was sort of barely there.
Yeah.
And she was almost like a generic superior character. And then later on, there's this weird curiosities about her.
She seemed kind of like a wimp, really, in my opinion. That was disappointing.
Because right away she gives up. Yeah, I'm going to help. Yeah, okay, I'll do what you say, but you're not going to get away with it.
Now, there was this one other character. There was Kylo Ren. The
bad guy.
The main bad guy.
But before we go to him, though, let's go to the other. There's two more heroes. There's BB-8, the robot.
Yes.
And it's you just know. I just knew from the trailers and all that they were ramping up the cute factor. And because the rolling ball and all that.
To be honest,
yeah.
When I first saw the trailers for BB-8 and everything like that, I was a little upset because it wasn't R2-D2.
Yeah.
And I was I liked R2-D2 so much.
And we do see R2, but he's basically on standby mode for the most of the
right. But what I'm saying is, when I was thinking, oh great, BB-8, it's gonna be terrible and everything, it's just gonna be a stupid rolling droid and everything. But when I saw inside the movie in context, it was a lot better.
Yeah, he's his own character. He's not another R2. There's something about him, you can see he's a little bit more panicky than R2.
Yes.
And you can see him he's much more he's more emotive. His body he has body language as opposed to R2. R2 his most of his body language is just the way he turns his head.
Right.
But BB-8's
Yeah, and I also like that he was also more maneuverable, having that round ball and everything. He
Yeah.
could go around and stuff like that, just
Yeah.
run different areas.
And of course, like the fact that he's quote unquote cuter than R2 is a way of
Yeah.
like pairing him up with R2. Well, no, pairing him up not with R2, with Rey.
Right.
Because R2 is like a guy's droid, a guy's robot droid.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Whereas like he's like the cool, like cute, but like kind of like funny, cute kind of sidekick.
Right.
BB-8 is like the adorable girl's sidekick. Robot.
Right.
The cute little bunny rabbit kind of character.
Yeah.
But he's capable bunny rabbit. He's like cute little guy character. Like he's like a girl's droid, effectively.
Yeah.
And of course the little girls would respond to him while the guys respond to R2.
Right.
Yeah. And of course you can see him like there's a great moment like he also establishes like good chemistry with characters like with Finn. Like when Finn gives him a thumbs up, what does BB-8 do? He gives his own thumbs up like a propane torch.
Yeah, it's kind of like you want a thumbs up, I'll take it.
Yeah, a thumbs up. Yeah, so he has his own specific sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like a more playful, like innocent kind of sense of humor than as opposed to R2's snarky kind of sense
like
of humor.
he's Zap Yoda. Like he's Zap Yoda because he stole his food.
He's more of a like R2's more sarcastic sense of humor.
Yeah.
While BB-8 is a more sweet like. Sense
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, Poe Dameron, the rebel pilot. Like I gotta say,
I didn't like
he's
him.
the way is he's sort of the Han Solo type. But like from the beginning, he also establishes the film's sense of humor from the beginning. Like when Kylo Ren at first like brings him down, he says, "Okay, so are you gonna start talking, or am I gonna start talking?" And then Kylo Ren talks and says, "I'm sorry, could you say that again? Because I can't understand what you're saying."
I kind of figured that he kind of ruined those scenes.
I don't know.
I mean, it was funny, but it wasn't. I don't think it was worth it. I think that they kind of lost some of the.
Yeah, he's a little too dry, if you will, if it's humor.
No, I think he was kind of out of place type thing. I think that he's like all of a sudden like it was meant to be lines in a sense and everything.
Dramatic lines, but he made it too jokey.
He made it extremely joking and like that. They made it.
Yeah.
It was meant to be joking and like that.
But you felt that there was a little too much.
Yeah, it was definitely too much.
Yeah, I will almost disagree with you a little bit, but like for example, like when but it does like establish a kind of dynamic between him and Finn. Is that Finn is almost a straight man to Poe. And it's like, and Poe gives that, and then Finn gives that, like Poe asks him, like, "Why are you helping me?" And Finn gives a dramatic, "Because it's the right thing to do." You need a pilot, don't you?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was so it works when you see him playing off against Finn,
right?
And that's why and fans are clamoring for in episode 8 or 9 there will be much more of them as a team.
Yeah, kind of like Chewie and Chewbacca.
Yeah, and I hope we'll see more of that. And because their escape is just really, really good, and it really establishes it really feels like almost like a western, like two cowboys coming together, but two different kinds of cowboys. Like Finn is more like the organized, like lawman kind of structured guy who's lived structure all his life, and now he's rebelling. And Poe is more like the easygoing kind of gunslinger type, who's like, yeah, I'm twirling my gun around. I'm having fun with the whole situation.
Absolutely.
And
I thought that was pretty interesting though how they had him as with the when he was with was
Finn.
When Finn was with Poe and everything.
Yeah.
And Poe was just asking him, "Do you know how to fire a blaster or what do they call it? The ship blaster things, whatever."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, it's kind of like a normal blaster, right?" So he's like, he started doing it, and I was kind of surprised how well he caught on so quickly. And I was wondering, it seemed almost unrealistic in a sense,
sort of,
that he caught it so well.
But almost like, but by contrast, when he's trying to fire the blaster on the Millennium Falcon, it takes forever for him to be able to shoot.
Yeah,
and I feel like that was like a joke about the fact that stormtroopers can't aim. But he learns to aim though. But at first it's like I can't shoot this. But he learns how to do it quick.
Yeah.
And there is a dynamic between Finn and Rey too.
Yes.
And it's been pointed out. There's almost like an idea that part of Finn almost wants to pursue a relationship with her, but like she's blissfully unaware of it, and she views him as a friend. And in the end, she kisses him on the forehead, which is the ultimate friend zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of interesting though. How he was just like trying to be very nice and everything like that and everything, whether there's an ulterior motive or not.
Yeah. And this is cute. There's that running gag of him trying to like grab her hand to get her out of danger.
Yes.
And at first she's upset about it, but then when he's honestly like pulling her out of danger she's not aware of, she learns to accept it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's part of her arc is that because she's had to be so ruggedly individualist.
Yeah.
she's been, like, I can take care of myself and no one's going to help me. Don't try to help me. But she has to learn. Part of her arc is she has to learn how to accept help.
Yeah, and I think that was a pretty interesting thing, especially that's an increase in everything when Han Solo gets her weapon and everything. Like she's like, I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's why I'm giving you the gun.
Yes,
Like,
and that was
sense.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
line.
that makes a lot of sense.
And speaking of which, all right, but we'll go into the previously established characters. But Kylo Ren, you want to talk about Kylo Ren?
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren.
The first time we saw him was when he went down to that massacred planet.
Yeah.
After they had gone and destroyed most of the stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what was your first impressions of Kylo Ren when you first saw him?
Well, I saw some like publicity photos of him before, but it's like he is like I knew he was essentially a Darth Vader fanboy,
Right?
And I knew this from the trailers and all that. In his defense, aren't we all?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: like the idea is that he has this shrine to Darth Vader, and he's obsessed with being Darth Vader, except for turning good in the end.
Yeah, that was kind of like, really, guy, come on, man.
And well, it's still, but you almost get the idea. It's like he gets the idea that Vader was great, but then he had this last moment of weakness. But I'm going to finish what he started.
Yeah.
And of course, as it turns out, one of the first big like twists in the movie is that like he is the son of Han and Leia.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. One thing though that I thought was a little disappointing from the beginning, but then later it kind of made sense. Everything was his voice. I was expecting more of a deep, dramatic voice, and it seemed kind of whiny at the beginning.
At first, yeah.
And I was like, kind of like, come
Don't
on.
give us Anakin. But I'll tell you this.
Yes, in Anakin, it was so much like Anakin. But then when he took off his mask,
yes,
and then he was like a younger boy and everything like that, it made sense why his voice was like that.
Voice was like yeah. But at the same time, you bring up Anakin. That's good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
He, like Kylo Ren, with or without the mask, he is what we wished Anakin was in the prequels. Honestly, like especially in Episode 3. Because in Episode 3, like, because he was like very like notoriously whiny and so on.
Right.
But like Kylo Ren's personality, I wish Anakin had been like that.
You're right. Now that
Because
I think
he
about
was
it,
so much. He's much more intimidating. He's much more oddly charming in his own way.
Yes.
And like very, and in his own way, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Darkly
At the same
cool.
time, though, he still has that that insecurity.
The anger,
that Anakin
the insecurity, and the anger.
Yes.
And there's like the great moment of dark humor when like someone reports some bad news to him, and he smashes up his computer, and then he stops, calms himself down. Anything else?
Yeah, that was
That was
good.
such a great moment.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was kind of interesting. They showed that huge amount of anger inside him that was driving him.
Yeah.
Multiple times he'd smash the stuff up
Yeah.
with his lightsaber, and I thought that was pretty
But like moments of outburst, but then he composes himself and goes back to being intimidating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that kind of shows he's almost kind of like putting on a mask. In a sense,
Yes.
he's wearing a mask as well, but a metaphorical mask. He's kind of like saying, my real inside, I'm hiding that,
Yeah.
but I want to put on the front of this intimidating dark.
I want to be able to channel it.
Exactly.
Yes, and Supreme Leader Snoke promises, like, I can help you with that. And at the end of the movie, he's like, I'm going to complete his training.
Well, speaking of Snoke, what did you think of him when you first saw him?
It was very interesting. Like, they kept his look secret.
Yeah.
And then when he showed it, it's almost like there's a little bit of Gollum, appropriate to Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
But, like, he does look he looks very, I love how, like, he looks very intimidating, very imposing. And there's this idea, is he a giant? No, as it turns out, it's a hologram.
He's big, yeah.
But he is big. From what I know about him, like he is said to be 7 feet tall. He is
Okay.
big. But here's the thing: a major rumor about Supreme Leader Snoke is that he was a Sith Lord who had been waiting in the shadows.
Right.
And the major theory is that he was Palpatine's old master, Darth Plagueis the Wise.
But didn't Palpatine say he killed him?
But remember what Palpatine also said. He said that that Plagueis had the ability to cheat death. He could manipulate life and death.
Almost like he killed him, but he did survive.
He killed him, but if you notice,
Came back.
if you know, Supreme Leader Snoke has a deep scar on his head, almost like maybe that was Palpatine's blade carrying it, like killing him, like hitting his head, but he was able to rebuild himself.
That would be quite interesting.
Very interesting. And it is like he had the ability. That Plagueis was the one Force user who had power over life and death.
You know what I think is interesting though, how I think it goes back to the parallel to the fourth movie, the original Star Wars, where everything was bigger in a sense. Like the Death Star was bigger in this system destroyer thing like that inside this planet. And the bad guy, the Emperor, this guy was bigger than that in the sense of he looked stronger and everything, but he was also bigger in size
Yes.
when it comes to the hologram thing.
Well, yeah, because when the Emperor was introduced in Empire Strikes Back, it was this giant hologram talking to Vader.
Right, and it wasn't even that big though.
Yeah.
But it was even bigger right here.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and of course, yeah, it's sort of like it's like the originals, but we're gonna do it our own way. We're gonna make him bigger in some ways.
Yes.
Yeah, and Snoke. Well, what do you think of Snoke?
I think that Snoke was extremely intimidating and
Yes.
strong and everything like that. My one concern though is he seemed too much like an orc.
Yeah,
Kind of like from Lord of the
there's
Rings.
sort of Lord of the Rings, which is probably since Andy Serkis we're talking.
Right,
about.
but what I'm saying though is he seemed very much like that, kind of like the main bad guy in the main orc in Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit. Azog. Yes, Azog.
Yeah, he did look like Azog.
He looked extremely like him. I was wondering. Now that I think about it, that's what it makes sense and everything. But I'm wondering, they probably could have had a more of a Star Wars-y feel for him and everything.
Yeah.
But I think that overall he had a really good character.
Yeah,
So,
he did, and he's very mysterious, and he's very understated. He's only there for a couple of scenes, and he's just giving orders. Very much like how Palpatine was in Empire Strikes Back. He only appears Palpatine only appears that one scene, and he tells Vader essentially, "Luke is more dangerous than we thought. He could destroy us. We have to deal with him."
Well, something I like about this one more than the Emperor Strikes Back and these older films was that in the prequels especially, but in all these, you know who the Emperor is.
Yes.
And it's like when they try to hide it sort of with Palpatine and everything like that, but they kind of didn't try to hide it when they were
Sort of
focusing on him and
obvious,
everything. And like Palpatine's the Emperor and everything. Not knowing who he is makes me think.
We don't know anything about Snoke.
Exactly.
All we know is his name.
It's all
All we know is his
speculation,
name and that he knows the power of the dark side.
and his look, of course.
Yeah,
everything,
his
but
look, of course.
even that could be masked.
And we learned from Han and Leia that he was the one who turned Ben Organa into Kylo, turned him to the dark side, tempted him with the powers, and that led to. And this is like the thing we've learned about Kylo Ren is that Ren was one of Luke's apprentices. The idea was Luke was starting the new Jedi Order, but what happened? He took upon himself he was going to train Ben. But the problem is, when Ben was tempted to turn to the dark side and all that, he organized his crew, his special group, to become the Knights of Ren. And they rebelled, and they killed off the new Jedi Order. Luke goes into exile. And there's a strong idea from Rey's flashbacks, she sees visions of what happened, and you almost get the idea that she had been a young Padawan, or perhaps a quote-unquote youngling.
Really?
Who Luke though, because Luke had to scatter the children across the galaxy. That's a possibility.
I think that was a possibility. I think that it's very unlikely because she seemed very unaware of the powers of the Force when the orange lady, what was her name?
Maz Kanata.
When Maz was telling her about that, she seemed very surprised and unaware, she was just realizing, just like...
As far as she's concerned, it was just legends. But there's a theory that Luke had her mind wiped, force mind, or at least put a barrier on her mind.
And I think
then touching it, the flashback was it coming back in full force, and she can't handle it.
That's possible. I think that might be too much of a stress for them. They could do better with that, but it's possible. I don't know.
Yeah, and so we have Snoke. Now for the other villains, there's we talked about Phasma, General Hux,
the
Nazi guy. He's given his great speech and so on.
And he was so much like a Nazi.
And of course, and the stormtroopers were Heil Hitler, Hail Hydra. Yeah, and of course, and he has the Star Killer in order to destroy in this case the system. Established that the system they were attacking was one of the central systems of the New Republic.
Right.
So it was dealt a severe blow to the Republic in that one.
Right.
So, but anyway, Hux has this very interesting dynamic with Kylo Ren, and when they're both reporting to Snoke, there's a strong sense that they're sort of competing to see which one is more worthy to be the Snoke's second in command.
Kind of like when Darth Vader and the mankind commands in
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Except.
Yes.
What's his name?
Except Vader and Tarkin respected each other. But you get the idea that Hux and Kylo Ren, they're trying to, they tolerate each other because they need each other, but at the same time, they're trying to, push each other, say, no, I'm the, to see which one is the alpha dog.
Right. I really like that and everything.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that last thing.
Yeah.
Between, again, I forget his name, the other guy and everything, and Vader.
Yeah. Grand Moff Tarkin?
Grand Moff Tarkin and Vader and everything. Except they did it better.
Yes.
They did it much better.
Yeah, I mean, there was that idea, the difference is like you get the idea that Vader and Tarkin like they're friends and they respect each other, and it's emphasized when they first meet in Anakin and Tarkin first meet in Clone Wars, the series, that they become friends. They deeply respect each other, and as a result, like Vader can tolerate it when Tarkin asks him like, Vader, release him as you wish, but then like here the dynamic is very different. They tolerate like. Kylo Ren and Hux, they tolerate each other, but at the same time, they're trying to push each other. Says like, maybe I'm the boss here. No, I'm the boss here.
Right.
And they're trying to like push each other's limits. Like, and that's where we get like the conflicts. Like Ren says we should go back to clones, and Hux says no, we should stay the way we've been doing it.
Something though that I really thought was interesting is, I think that each of them, that Hux and Kylo Ren, have different reasons for serving Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah.
I think that Hux is, again, tolerating him because he's more powerful and he knows he can't do it without him.
Yeah.
And yet Kylo Ren's more of a true believer in a sense. Kind of like the Nazis with Hitler, where one of them, like, kind of like how they were saying Captain America, how Hydra, what's his name, the Red Skull and everything, he was like, he's the true believer, while the others are just kind of like following him.
Because like Hitler indulges in these like what the guy said to Captain America, like Hitler indulges to inspire the troops, but for Schmidt, for Red Skull, it's not fantasy to him, it's reality.
In the same time, I think it's like Kylo Ren is like he thinks it's reality that this guy really is.
Like Ren effectively is Red Skull, and Hux is Hitler.
Yeah, very similar. Like that. Yeah.
And you get there like, and there's that, and like they serve Snoke for different reasons. Like Hux serves him for political power, while Kylo Ren serves him as a true believer. You're my master. I want the power of the dark side.
Exactly, political power versus dark side, force power.
Okay, the previously established characters coming back.
Han Solo
and Chewie. Chewie were home, and as it turns out, like Kylo Ren turning dark put a strain on Han in particular, and Leia saying, we can still turn him, back, and Han basically emotionally shuts down. He shut down and he gave up, and he and Chewie left, and they went on to return to smuggling, to doing what I know best. Because you get the idea that they're disenchanted with heroism now because like our own son turned evil. What's the point?
And not to mention that Luke's gone too. The only real friend we come.
And apparently Han lost the Millennium Falcon, so it's up to Daisy Ridley, Rey and Finn like find it again.
It's kind of ironic though that they find it in a junkyard. And
it's
like, oh, what a piece of junk!
Yeah, and she said though, like, when we go that one? No, that one's garbage. And then they go, okay, we better go with the garbage. It's the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, and I think that was very, very good.
That's a little play on the joke. What a piece of junk. Because I remember, like when we first saw it in the original movie, when we see it, we're like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And then it cuts to Luke. What a piece of junk!
We're like, "What?"
That emphasizes had like the humor of it. Anyway, so we see Han and Chewie again, and they're in trouble with those raiders.
Yeah.
But of course they managed to. But like Rey and Finn managed to get them out of it, so they get it and they escape. And that's where they meet Maz Kanata.
Yes.
Yeah. But first, how do you think they handled Han and Chewie?
I think that Han had to be older because his character was older, and the actor more so was older.
And he had to be like, you get this idea that he's very tired and he's very saddened by all the things that happen.
Yes, and at the same time he still has, because it's the same actor, he still has.
He's still Han Solo. He's still got that.
Right. He's not a replacement.
He's still got that grit. He's still got that sarcasm about him.
And I liked him a lot and everything like that. I really think he was one of the few characters I think could not be improved at all.
No.
He did a great job with that. Chewie, he didn't seem to change whatsoever since the last one. I think that was a good thing because he didn't see the face of the actor in the first one. I forget what his name was. Peter Mayhew. He was just the hairy guy in the suit. The guy in the hairy suit. Not hairy guy in the suit. But the guy in the hairy suit. And because of that, they were able to bring it back so it wasn't entirely, oh, this is just older. Some of them are the
personality-wise, like, he's still Chewie. But at the same time, like, he's like, there's this reluctance to let, and there's this nice parallel with Rey now I think of it. There's this reluctance to let anyone help him, like, trying to tend to his wounds and he gets mad. No, don't touch me.
Yep.
And there is a possible thing where, like, he's older, a little bit older in that, spoiler alert, of course this is a spoiler review, when Ren kills Han.
Yes.
And Chewie just yells and he roars and he shoots at him.
That was awesome. He just went nuts.
Yeah, bang, 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 bang. Yeah. But people have said, like, that back in the original trilogy, like in the original trilogy days, like Chewie would have like will go on berserk and like rip things up and all that. Not necessarily. I don't know. Not necessarily. But as for that scene, Han died. Like when he stepped on, walked over to Ren to Kylo Ren to confront him. I gotta say, I was bracing myself. I was like, oh no, he's gonna kill him.
I was concerned too because I was told before by one of my coworkers that Han Solo was gonna die.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh.
What a schmuck.
I know, right? But I was told about that and everything. But I was wondering at first, like, is he gonna kill him here, or is he gonna ask him to kill him? Is he gonna? I was trying to figure. He had the lightsaber. I was wondering.
Is
if
Han
he was like,
going to ask him to kill him?
Is Kylo Ren gonna ask Han to kill him, and he says no, and then he kills Khan?
Yeah.
Or is he just gonna kill Han? I wasn't sure how that was gonna work.
And in this case, it's like Han's appealing to him, and and he's just like, help me. I'm conflicted with my emotions. Help me. And then all right, just put it down. And then he kills him, and he says thank you. And people said, and then this is a great line by there's another reviewer had this great point. It is a complete reversal of Darth Vader's final decision.
Yeah.
Where when the chips were down, Vader chose his family, like his son, over the dark side.
Yeah.
But here, when the chips are down, Kylo Ren chose the dark side over his father.
And at that point, that
is why we know darn well that it is going to be very, very unlikely for him to be redeemed, and I don't think the fans will want to see him redeemed.
No, when that happens. I did like though, because he had done everything, he had let his guard down.
Yeah.
And Chewie was able to shoot him in the stomach.
Yes, and in his rage, Chewie goes bang, 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 and that allows Ren to be weakened enough so that at first Finn and then Rey are able to fight him.
That was a really good thing. And I kind of like, as much as I really like the showy, flashy prequels with like Darth Maul, the Battle of Darth Maul,
super stylish,
the Duel of the Fates and everything.
But the fact is, because Kylo Ren is injured, and Rey doesn't know the first thing about how to fight, the lightsaber arts.
Right.
So it is back to the classic trilogy of the raw fights, bare bones fights.
And I think that's one thing that I was disappointed because there was only one there's one lightsaber battle.
Yeah.
And almost all the way through when they're having that battle near not the Death Star, but the big machine thing.
Yeah.
That was 10 times the size of Death Star, whatever, the huge planet destroyer.
Yeah.
And when they were fighting on that and everything with the X-Wings going around shooting them down and everything like that, trying to destroy, fighting all this stuff and everything, there hadn't been a single lightsaber battle yet. And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
There sort of was between Finn and that other stormtrooper, but not
that
quite.
didn't really count. I was kind of eh.
And you know what? People have said, what would have been better, instead of him just fighting some other stormtrooper, she should have been fighting Phasma right there.
Yeah.
Because that would have really done some build up as to who Phasma is as a character. Phasma as a character, but we got what we got. But anyway, so that was that final lightsaber battle, and it's it's build up. All right, next up, let's skip around a bit to Maz Kanata, the character. The wise character, the insightful character, almost a Yoda character.
Yes, I saw, even when you look in the eyes and everything, when she takes off her glasses.
I see your eyes.
When she took off her glasses, when they're down inside the it's the sanctuary or whatever and everything near the lightsaber. Yeah. I almost saw the Yoda look and everything like that. I was like, wow.
And she's telling Rey you can't go back. Don't go back to Jakku. Your life there is over.
Yeah.
They're not coming back, but your destiny involves someone else. And she says Luke.
Yeah.
So Maz Kanata, I hope we see more of her.
Yeah.
But I love that line where Han says, where'd you get that lightsaber? It's that's a story for another time.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, good. Because you're not gonna be no dumps of exposition in this movie.
Yeah.
All we need to know, we know all we need to know in this movie.
I thought that was pretty interesting. One thing though that I thought, I was like, come on, you know what I'm saying, was I had seen posters of that guy, the inside the cantina thing, the red and everything that, and just kind of he was the pilot and everything. I thought he was gonna end up being this really big bad guy. They just had him sitting on a table with this other alien.
He's only there for 1 second,
and then he leaves. And I was like, come on! I thought he was gonna be
because he looks so cool. There's so much build up about him.
I thought he was gonna be a Sith or something like that,
Yeah.
But
Well, all right, Leia. How is Leia approached?
Old.
Yeah, she's old.
She was old.
Well, to be fair, so was Han Solo.
I know, but Han Solo looked better old. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. To be fair, I mean, this is something interesting about her. Carrie Fisher apparently hasn't acted in that many big roles for a while. So she kind of like, and when you see her, like, there's something almost tired about her and her delivery.
Yeah, she's very tired and everything.
Yeah.
Almost not sleepy, but more like exhausted type
Yeah,
thing. You know?
and that kind of does speak to the character. Like, she's an old woman now,
Yeah.
and she has to lead this resistance,
Yeah,
lead this rebellion.
kinda
So,
like that.
so it's kind of exhausting to her. But at the same time, she's also drained because her son's evil now.
Yeah, that would be really tough and everything. How to deal with that?
C-3PO now has a red arm. And he calls and he's called attention to his red arm, but he's only there for a couple scenes.
C-3PO.
Yeah.
People are getting all mad in the prequels about Jar 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 Jar. To be honest, CP3O in this movie and everything, he was worse.
Well, he's
worse
only,
than Jar Jar.
like, only there to be annoying.
It's like his sole purpose is annoy the audience.
Although he does have a thing, like he explains to BB-8 why R2-D2 shut down.
That was a good scene right there, I think. But I think having him there with the red arm, and I think the red arm is just
And calling attention to his red arm. Like, oh, I look so different. Did you not recognize me? Was it my red arm?
It was very much kind of.
I wasn't as annoyed, but but the thing is, like, I find it very interesting. Like, you almost get the idea that maybe, like, when the C-3PO explains that after Luke left, R2 just shut down, and then, like, at the end of the movie, he turns back on and shows them the rest of the map. Like, BB-8 has part of the map, and R2 shows them the rest.
That's the one thing. The one thing that didn't make sense to me was how CP3 was like, if you're trying to figure out a way to get all the archives out of him that he might have it by some chance, you're most likely he's not going to have it, and then he has it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
really?
But
He
it's
could
like,
have just gotten it from him from the beginning.
Yeah,
you know?
well, it's because, like, I almost get the idea is, like, Luke, you almost get the idea that Luke and R2 kind of had this plan, if you will, like, wait until the time is right, then turn back on. Like, wait until then turn back on. Because, like, Luke, he's going into exile, but on the one hand, he sort of wants to be found when the time is right, when the right person comes along. And R2 doesn't turn on until Rey arrives at the base.
Right, and I just think the one plot point where I don't think it could have been avoided, but I think it was still a little bit.
Like, why did he take so long to turn on right now?
No, why didn't they search R2's database and everything while he was off and really couldn't do anything to either force him to turn on or to find the map?
Well, maybe it's like Luke, like R2 almost like put it in lockdown deliberately, and since he's sort of self-aware, he would have found a way to, like, just no, you can't bring it in.
Right, I know. But
And you get the idea from C-3PO's lines that they've tried but they couldn't. But finally, Luke is so noticeably absent for the whole movie, and for the whole movie you're bracing yourself, is he going to show up? Is he going to show up? Is he not going to show up at all? And then the very last moments of the very last scene, like Rey is like going in, she has the map, now she R2, Chewie, and maybe BB-8, we don't know.
Right.
But they go off and she has like her trademark staff. And by the way, what do you think of that staff?
I think that it was good to have in the beginning, but when she got the lightsaber, she should have had the lightsaber.
Why does she not have the staff? Like, that has led people to speculate that's not just a staff. That's something she has for a specific reason.
Well, they might incorporate that later, but this is what I thought.
Yeah?
She had the staff, then somehow she didn't have it for the whole movie, except for from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And she got the lightsaber, whatever, and then the lightsaber was gone, and she had the staff again.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering maybe the lightsaber.
Well, she has the lightsaber, but she's handing it to Luke.
Right, but you notice how I kind of wish she had the lightsaber on her belt or something like that, kind of signifying I'm accepted my path as Jedi. Instead,
well, she's
almost like I'm kind of like she has the.
Well,
staff
she's the first to admit she's not a Jedi yet. But anyway, Luke, we don't see Luke yet.
Yeah.
But then we see him at the very last scene, and he turns and he takes off his hood, and he looks so much like Obi-Wan. He has that beard.
To be honest, now that you think of it, maybe and everything like that, but I was kind of like let down. I was like, I wanted him to look like Luke. He looked like a different actor. Clean shaven. I was expecting something not as young as the other one, but similar. You know what I'm saying? I was expecting the Luke from Episode 6 and everything. That when he was fighting all that, just a little bit older. But it was so different.
Well, it is 30 years under. All the characters older. Han's much older. Leia's much.
Right, but you could recognize them. Him, you couldn't even recognize them.
But sort of. But just he has a beard. The real difference is he has a beard.
Yeah, but I didn't recognize him at all and everything. He didn't make any sense. It was like, oh yeah, it's an old guy.
But you know it's Luke though.
But
you know it's Luke, but he doesn't feel like Luke.
He doesn't. It didn't feel exactly. He didn't feel like Luke and everything. So that was kind of a letdown for me. Everything that he wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really cool they did when she was giving the lightsaber the shot where he had like going all the way around everything.
Yeah. That's J.J. Abrams for you.
Super fast and all that. That was really good.
And of course, that's J.J. Abrams. And of course, J.J. Abrams' trademark lens flares. When the Star Killer shoots the beams out.
Oh yeah.
And then Kylo Ren is like looking out, and there's the quick lens flare.
Do you know something else I really like that he did and everything?
Yeah.
was when Kylo Ren was taking his lightsaber and everything, and he moved it towards the screen. You could feel in the theater it was vibrating. It was like,
Yes.
that was so good.
Yeah, I love that.
I was
That
like,
was cool.
They did it a few times. And everything.
And of course, the great stuff that Kylo Ren could do, like in his intro scene, like someone shoots at him and he stops the bolt.
That was so.
That establishes that he is a powerful guy and he's
That
cool in
was
his own way.
so good. Yes, I like that a lot.
Absolutely.
I mean, there were so many good special effects and everything, but they didn't overdo it or rely on the special effects like they did in some of the prequels
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I really like that a lot. I think that was good.
And that was like one of the main promises. They're going to rely more on practical effects than the all digital prequels. Now, final thing, like before we sum up, where do you think the trilogy's going to go?
Well, I'm hoping that the second one is going to be more the flashy and everything like that because now that she's got that.
She's going to learn from Luke.
Right.
She's going to learn from Luke. And at the
Kylo
same
Ren
time,
is going to learn
yeah,
from
Snoke says, like, tells Hux, like, bring Kylo Ren to me. It's time to complete his training.
And then they're all going to be like, I'm hoping that because the new technology has been like years and everything since even the prequels, and especially since the other ones, that it's going to be like, you know how well, how much of an improvement the lightsaber battles in the prequels were by comparison to the original? I think having that grind, like, in this first one was great.
It works.
Best, ideal, and it works best, I think. But I think the second one, where they're all more prepared and everything,
Yes.
they got to have the flashy, like,
And I feel like
stuff like that.
There's going to be a lot of parallels here to Empire Strikes Back, where we're going to see Daisy, or Ridley, or Rey being trained by Luke, presumably, because she hands him a thing. She's going to be trained, and I feel like we're going to get more of what had happened, of like what's led to the Knights of Ren forming and then rebelling and killing the new Jedi and killing off the new Jedi Order.
In a sense, kind of like in that TV series Arrow, how they have like the two storylines going side by side, where Arrow, the main guy, is remembering Oliver Queen. He's remembering his time in the past that had led him to become this superhero and everything. As the season goes on, both storylines continue on, the main storyline and then the remembered storyline.
Yeah, there's that backstory, but at the same time, like in parallel to the training.
Right. At the same time,
Luke is going to train
while she's training. While he's training her, she's gonna like have those more of those flashbacks. He's gonna like tell more of a story, or whatever. And there's gonna have to be some stuff.
And she's going to piece it together in her mind and like get her memories, like and how that all connects to her being left on the planet.
And I think I'm wondering if they're gonna try to tie it in, like whether Kylo Ren might not be the main bad guy in the second one. I bet you there's gonna be another guy coming in the second one, and then the third one to complete the trilogy. Kylo Ren will come back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is
while Ren is being trained. But like there is build up. Like we've set up nemesises for many of the characters. Like for Finn, his nemesis is Phasma, presumably.
Right.
Rey's nemesis will be Kylo Ren.
Right.
Luke's nemesis, like people are excited for
Snoke.
him versus Snoke.
That's gonna be awesome.
Luke is the head he is the headmaster of the new Jedi Order, and he's facing off against Snoke, the master of the Sith.
Right.
The Sith master. Presumably,
I
the Sith
want to
master.
see that so bad. And everything.
Yeah, and it's gonna be epic. Like presumably, like maybe like in episode
The
9.
third one,
Episode 9. So yeah, and people are saying hopefully there's going to be more like buddy stuff between Finn and Poe.
Yeah.
Like they're like the Han Solo kind of thing arc.
And then I think that between what's her name,
Rey.
Rey and Chewbacca, there's gonna be a really good one right there.
Because Chewbacca went with her.
Yes, and that was very good. I like that. One thing though, I probably think.
And she has the Falcon. She inherited the Falcon from Han.
Yes, that was good. Especially, and it wasn't just like, oh well, we'll give it to you. It was like he was considering making her part of the crew. He was like really liked her and everything. So it seemed to
giving her
really
the blaster.
well.
Yeah.
And that as well. But I think that probably the next two episodes, the next one's going to be more of the showy, flashy type thing and everything.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like more of the cool, like get the assistance of the fans. Like we need this
payoff of the train.
With like all the prequels and everything with lightsaber battles is going to make it the best, better than all the episode 3 battles, everything.
Because we're going to be looking forward to like the new fight between Rey and Ren, because when they complete their training, there's going to be epic. It's going to be spectacular.
I think that's going to be great and everything, but I think there's probably going to be another hero or another villain besides Ren, and then they're going to have all that flashy stuff, and she's going to take him out, and then in episode 9. It's going to have some of that flashiness, but it's going to get back to the grinds and everything like that. Yeah. It's like it's get back to the basics when she's facing Snoke, or she's facing Ren, Luke's facing Snoke, and they're all facing their worst like their nemesis and everything like that. While there's this huge battle, space battle going on, and everything like that going, I think it's going to be like an epic. You think they're going to lose, anything like that, and then
everything is
finally,
it's
just taking everything.
But here's the thing, like that was what made Empire Strikes Back so interesting was that it ends with the good guys losing.
Well, I think
they escape, but at the same time they've lost a lot of ground.
They've lost a lot of ground, but they didn't lose like crazy, nuts.
They didn't flat out lose, but it's like they lost ground in that. But that led to the suspense of now we need to get out of that and return the Jedi.
But I think that they're not going to copy that same thing. I think that in the episode 8, they're going to win, but they're going to be like, we have to face something even bigger.
Yeah. Because so you don't think Rey is going to fight Ren in?
I think she's going to fight him briefly, but there's not going to be a big battle, or whatever. And everything, and then they're gonna split up whatever back to
perhaps you'll have like Rey fighting this other bad guy, and that's like the central thing, and then after that like Ren is like face him up for a little bit, and then they gotta go.
Something like that, kind of like, and I think that maybe not even facing Ren at all, but I think they're gonna introduce some other bad guy and everything. It's like, oh, this guy's sick, this guy's awesome.
There has been talk though, because like there's a new actor that they were talking about bringing him in, Benicio del Toro, like who also, by the way, you know him as the Collector in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
But he's going supposedly going to be in Episode 8, and there's talk that he's going to be like another potential Sith apprentice that Snoke is training. So if that's the case, then maybe he'll be like a villain set up for 8.
But I think 9's gonna be. I think 8's gonna be more the flashy and everything, an action-packed, cool type thing, and then 9's gonna come back to the drama.
Everything's led to this.
Exactly, kind of like, in a sense, like the Avengers of Infinity War type thing, where the first Avengers and everything and the second Avengers are more of the cool type stuff. And everything. The difference between Captain America, the first Avenger, and Captain America: Winter Soldier, how it was very dramatic. I think Captain America, this new Star Wars 8, I think, is going to be like the Captain America: The First Avenger, very fast paced and everything like that, just like this Star Wars 7. But it's also going to have some drama and everything, and it's going to be very cool. The fans going to be like, yeah, this is awesome. And then Episode 9 is going to be like the Captain America,
the more intense
Civil
War
Soldier,
or Civil War?
Probably Winter Soldier, maybe Civil War and everything. I haven't seen that one yet.
All we know is like everything has led to this. It's going to be big. Everything's going to change.
Right, it's going to be like a huge thing. I think that's going to be good.
Well, we'll see how that works. So one last question. But before we see Episode 8, we're going to see the first Star Wars anthology movie, which is going to be sort of like a kind of filling in the blanks.
I'm not even sure how to think about that. I mean,
because the first one that we're going to see next year, is called Star Wars Anthology Rogue One, and it's going to be about the events leading up to the original movie, where the rebels, they formed, and it's a story of their winning. Like if you see in the opening crawl of the original movie, the rebel spies striking out from their secret base have won their first victory against the Empire, and during the battle, the rebel spies have stolen the plans of the Death Star.
I like the idea and everything of filling in more and everything.
Yeah, the movie's going to be about that battle.
But my concern is the same thing that's happened in Star Wars 3 is going to happen now, where they have to come up with the final destination so it's going to be predictable, and it's not going to come out right. That's my concern.
Along the same lines, like, the thing is, it's a completely new cast. So the thing is, the suspense will be who will live and who will die.
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing. I think that it's not nearly as how is the destiny going to happen? How is it finally going to end? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if they're smart, they're going to focus more on the characters. Who's going to live? Who's going to die?
Right. And I wonder,
and less on the stuff we know how it's going to end.
Exactly. And I think one other thing that they might do is they'll take some of the best characters, how the fans, they're going to look at how do the fans like the characters, who's the most popular ones or whatever, and then take that and put one of those characters in Star Wars 8. I think they're
like older versions of them.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be very interesting because so we're gonna have that. There are rumors that Darth Vader will show up in Rogue One.
Yes.
Who knows? Maybe we'll see Cat Antilles. Maybe we'll see a young Princess Leia.
Maybe a young Princess Leia. I would like to see that. That'd be pretty interesting.
Oddly enough, and this is going to sound very odd, if they were going to cast Princess Leia, I mean, this may sound odd when I first say it, but then I'll tell you about it and you say, yeah, maybe. Amy Adams, a.k.a. Giselle in Enchanted, Lois Lane in Man of Steel. This is why I say it. There are pictures of her like in around 2013, whatever, when she's like attending the Oscars or whatever, and she's in this like white dress and all that,
Right.
and the way she has her hair and all makeup and all that, she looks so much like she could play a young Princess Leia.
I'm wondering though if she'd be too old. I think someone even
You mean?
younger.
Not necessarily.
I think someone even younger. Just hear me out. I think that someone like who played what's her name? Who played Lucy in the Narnia movies?
I don't. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
She's gonna be a lot older than that.
Yeah, but I don't
Like Susan.
I don't necessarily.
Susan was.
Yeah, maybe Susan. No, I don't necessarily see her because she has to look sort of like Carrie Fisher, and like she has to like look like Carrie Fisher did in Episode 4 because Rogue One is just before Episode 4. That's the whole thing.
Okay, if it was a few years before that,
not a few years. It's right before Episode 4.
that'd be the tough part and everything.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
like,
how they do that.
but assuming they do have a Princess Leia in it,
Right.
all we know is like Rogue One is going to be the first anthology movie. The second one is going to be a young Han Solo movie. And
Okay.
there's been like there's been like some big
I
casting
think it'll
calls
be
for Han Solo.
easier to do
Yeah.
than she
Yeah.
will.
Like it's going to be like many years, like the years before Episode 4. He
Okay.
shows up, like him and Chewie and so on having adventures and so on. And there's been like a big casting call for the new Han Solo.
Right.
The third one, and originally this was supposed to be the second one, but then they decided to shelve it for a bit. The third one, like the other one, was planned to be a Boba Fett movie.
A what?
Basically the story, like Boba Fett being a bounty hunter, being his super cool, awesome self, and having his own adventures, which would be very interesting.
Huh.
But the thing is, since it's been shelved, no one knows if they're going to do it or not.
I think it would be very tough. I think
Yeah.
because when they try to make the bad guy look like the good guy.
Well, he wasn't necessarily the full-fledged bad guy. He was hired to work for pay, to find Han Solo for pay. But there have been like, if you ever read the books, there's some adventures where Boba Fett was pursuing Han Solo, and there's some stories where Boba Fett teams up with Solo, helps him out.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit. I think that'd be difficult.
So he's sort of like, he works on both sides of the law, if you will.
Okay.
He's a very like ambiguous character, but he works for like whoever pays well.
Okay, I could see that maybe.
Yeah.
And then I think that overall, I think having these anthology movies is going to be
Yeah.
a new thing. Just like Avengers, like the Avengers movies, Marvels. I think that it was new. It was a new idea of having a bunch of heroes team up and everything. In the same way with the Star Wars thing, having this anthology where it's different. It's not what we're expecting. So it could be really good or it could bomb really bad.
Yeah, well,
so we'll see what happens.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We'll see. And final grade, like we're going by the school grade. As you guys know, I gave this movie, Star Wars: Force Awakens, an A-. Like it's not the best Star Wars film. It's Empire Strikes Back, but it's up there. There are some problems with it, and we discussed it, but I think it's pretty up there. I give it A-. What do you think?
I would give it an A. I would just give it a
Solid
straight
A?
A, a solid straight A and everything. And the reason is I think that the special effects were great, but yet they didn't overuse them.
Mm-hmm.
And the storyline was the main focus. And I think that the special effects were not as obvious as Episode 3.
Yeah.
But they were better used and stronger
Yeah.
in their effect. And then finally the storyline was better than I think
Yeah.
definitely better than the prequels,
Yeah.
and I think it was about the same or even a little bit better than the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like,
a solid A.
one complaint that I had about the movie was John Williams' music. I mean, as a rule, like with the Star Wars movies, there was something memorable in each one.
Yeah.
Something new and memorable in each one. But in this one, he was basically like, there were some like new pieces, but they weren't too memorable. They didn't stand out, and that's kind of a good thing because it was more of a mood piece than anything else.
Yeah.
But the stuff that was memorable is he was reusing the Force theme over and over and over again, like dun 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 dun. Dun. He was using that over and over and over again.
Even with that though,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big into music and stuff like that about
Yeah.
specific tracks being used and anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think that overall, though there were a few slight problems that I thought were like, it was very, very minor, and then I think it was a great movie, the best one so far. I liked it better than Empire Strikes Back, but that's just a little different opinion we have. But it's really good.
Ranking it among among the previous 6, like how would you rank it? As
I would
the
rank
best
it-
Star Wars movie ever, or what?
I would rank it as close, but a number 1. I would rank it number
close to number 1, like
I think
tied
it would
perhaps.
be I think it's number one, and
A close second would be
I think probably a close second would be the original one.
the original Star Wars: A New
Yes.
Hope.
New Hope,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I would rank it like everyone considers Empire Strikes Back to be the most people consider Empire Strikes Back to be the absolute best.
Right.
And I would almost say it would tie for second for me with New Hope.
Okay.
And Return of the Jedi being third, and then distant fourth, fifth, and sixth would be the prequels.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I think that was pretty good. So an A and A minus.
All right, A and A minus. And that's all the time we have for today. I'm Eric Blake, and here's my guest host, Trent Blake. And from all of us here at CinemaCurrent, stay film friendly, my friends.
Let's get this.